Hey, morning! How's it going? It's time for senior yoga. This is going to be so cool. We're in the gym. It's a change of scenery. We haven't got all the art in my front room for a change, and no sofa to use as well. But it's alright because we've got a dining room chair style thing going on here. I'm really glad you're here. I'm glad you're joining me for this. Let's have a little talk, because we're still a little bit early yet, about what this is and how it works and how it can help improve you. Mobility and stretching and joint health, that's my career. I make my money off of that for the most part. Among other aspects of fitness and strength training, it's all about that for me is my main deal, along with sports massage and many other things. But how I view this is the same way that I view someone who wants to get a stronger bench press. This is strength training. I love yoga. I love going to other people's yoga classes. I love floaty yoga that you go and the teacher's got a whispery voice and it's all very calm and lovely. And that's amazing. And I genuinely can go and lose myself in those classes. But that isn't my voice. I can't project myself that way with the enthusiasm I can when I talk about the excitement of owning your mobility. And I think there's strength in that, and you can improve yourself like that. So let's get back to this thought that this is strength training. So we talk about the main deal that people talk about when they talk about flexibility is touching their toes, like this. If you can get to here, and you hung out here every day for 10 minutes, eventually your body will be like, well, all right, we'll change it to here. But with the help of gravity, the weight of your body, and your spine joining in probably, because you start reaching down your toes and curling your back around like this, which isn't wrong by the way, it's fine. But that becomes a pattern, a shape, with that gravity, with that help touching your toes, and there's no balance. So there's got to be the balance, there's got to be that full range of motion, that full understanding from you that your hip flexors, these muscles here, in between your legs and your belly, can pick your legs up so that you can be strong enough to use that mobility, that hamstring flexibility, to be able to pick your knees up. This can lengthen as this shortens, and you can step over stuff. And that becomes useful, that becomes something you can use. But that means you've got to be as strong here as you are flexible here. So this bit of flesh needs to be able to lengthen, and this bit of flesh needs to be strong enough to contract to lengthen this. And it means that you've got balance, like an elbow, like this. Very rarely in humans do we struggle with this because we bring stuff to our face and we use our elbows so much. You very rarely use this unless you get put in a sling for a really long time. You lose that elbow's ability to be able to bend, and you have to relearn it. And we understand that, but when we talk about hamstring flexibility, I want you to be able to own every bit of this mobility and understand what your spine does to get you that mobility so that you can stay nice and strong. Alright, let's get into some actual yoga then. If you've got a dining room chair, even your sofa will work for this. Just going to sit right on the end of your chair, right up at the end, with your heels pulled back, but heels touching down, and bring your hands down. I want you to shrug your shoulders up like this and create a load of tension through your body, just like curl your toes, squeeze your knees, and just see what your breath does when you hold all of this tension. And it's not between right and wrong. I'm not going to teach you to let go of everything and be floaty, because tension can be a good thing. You just need to be able to control it and understand it. So squeeze up, tense your belly, and just see where your breathing goes. And you probably feel like your breathing, when you're holding all that tension, is a little bit more shallow, which is fine, because all of this has gone tight. It can't expand. But if we go from here to softening your shoulders down and sitting up a bit taller to give your ribs space to expand, and push your belly out. In slow motion, draw your belly in as you breathe out. Let your fingers, let your shoulders, let your elbows rest. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. Maybe let your eyes close as well. Just so you've got one less sense, one less input to worry about. Slow this breathing down. And then I want you to lean side to side, like this. and move a little bit faster than your breath. So, as your ribcage pulls down, on one side it lengthens here, shortens here. Take a full breath here, then come over to the other side, take a full breath here. And I want you to think about understanding this breathing, no matter what shape your torso goes into, so that you can get oxygen in and perform, no matter where you are in this side bend. And start picking up the pace a little bit with this side bend, and push your big toes down. Relax your jaw, squeeze from one side to the other, and one side to the other. Keep breathing. Go. And then, I want you to still push your heels down and lean forwards onto your toes, almost like you're about to stand up. But you don't actually stand up, you just make your bum feel light on your chair. So you should be able to feel a bit of toning here, like a bit of strengthening through your thighs. Cross your arms over your shoulders. I want you to rotate really slowly. And breathe off time with your rotation. And push your toes down. And push your heels down. Almost lift your bum off the sofa, off your chair, as you rotate and rotate and rotate and rotate. Take full breaths. There we go. And then we're going to go through shoulder stuff. So I want you to bring your hands down onto your thighs, still trying to lift your bum off the sofa, and you'll forget. That'll drop off, and that's okay. Every time you realise you've sunk again, I want you to lift yourself again. See if you can keep this little electrical current running through your thighs, running through your legs, pushing your toes down to there, start to connect to the floor. Then take your left arm, or your right arm, which actually, you're only going to swap arms, and bring your hand across towards the other hand without rotating your chest. So you can see if you rotate your chest, you can touch that hand. Keep your chest square on. We're only looking at this glenohumeral joint, just this bit here, and try and pull it across. And then, with your thumb pointing up, bring this up past your cheek and behind your ear. I want you to get it back as far as you can. Now, if you've got a shoulder that doesn't work very well, maybe it only goes this high. And that's all right, because that's all you've got, and that's fine. We're going to bring it up as high as you can. When you feel a wall, when you feel pain, back away from that and just hold it there. I'm going to find my wall, my push against something, and it's right back here. And I can feel like my belly muscles trying to help, trying to open up so that I can trick myself into getting this arm back further. I can feel myself rotating. I'm not after that. I'm after still keeping this upright and finding this glenohumeral joint. And then I bring it back and I point my thumb down, like thumbs down, like this, like there, and pull it back more. You'll probably feel shoulder blades squeezed together. That's what I'm after. The rear of your shoulders, understanding how to pull, and then pull back. And if you're on a sofa, you'll probably hit the sofa about here. Just push into it. I'm hit the back of the chair. I'm going to push into it as hard as I can, and then I'm going to change direction. Thumb points up and pull it back. And squeeze shoulder blades together and hold this here. And just breathe here, pulling back, and push this hand down into your thighs, still trying to lift your bum off the sofa, off your chair, and bring it up behind your ear, across your body, and back down. Going to go one more time, back, up past your cheek, past your ear, or as far as you can get it, and then turn your thumb to point down, and pull back. And really try and twist this arm. So you try to point your thumb down and point back and pull back. We're finding end range and bring it back. Push it into your sofa, push it into your chair. Find the end range and then change direction. Thumb points up and back, up and back, up and back. Behind your ear, past your cheek and back to the beginning. It's exhausting. It's so hard, but I really want you to find a shoulder. Find what your shoulder can do. And it can be different to mine. Your rep can look like this, but slower, with more intention. That's just a bit floating. And that's okay, because that's what you've turned up with. And I'll always remind you of that. Okay, lift yourself up, so you're pushing your feet into the floor. Bring this hand across the other hand, and bring it up. Past your cheek, past your ear, and find a wall to push against. And when I say wall, I just mean what's happening in your shoulder. And it might be here, and that's okay. And then turn your thumb to point down, as you bring it back. If you do it weird, or you feel like you didn't control it, start again, and just do it again. Like my left arm, I always have to restart it and tune in more, and I learn better for stopping. There, that's a little slot that my arm doesn't know very well. I can feel my rib cage changing, my spine changing to help. Look, I'm leaning off to the side. I've got to like keep resetting myself and teach this shoulder how to be a shoulder, and then bring it back, and I push it into the sofa, into your chair, and then we change direction, going up, turn your thumb to point up, turn your thumb to point back, get this arm behind your ear, behind your head, across your cheek, and bring it down, back up again. Breathe, back behind your cheek, behind your ear, turn your thumb to point down and back, down and back, down and back. So much concentration. I almost can't talk at the same time. Find this little slot right back here, and bring it back up. Turn that thumb to point up, bring it back, and it's your rep. Doesn't need to be as hard as mine. I'm trying to find connection, I'm trying to find understanding. Across. It's exhausting, so hard. And just move your neck side to side, still lifting your bum off the seat if you can. So just trying to keep your ears visible forwards. So if I turn my head like this, one of my ears has disappeared. If I turn my head like this, one of my ears has disappeared. So you're trying to keep your gaze facing forwards. Just find this little stretch here and teach your neck that it can do stuff. The thing with our neck is it relies on our eyes, it relies on our torso to move around like this. It never actually has to do its job very often, unless you get it to do its job. And it's use it or lose it. So then I want you to lean this neck over to one side and try and look up. Then try and look down at your shoulder, try and look up. Try and look down at your shoulder, look up. And move slow, and just try and find end ranges that are possible for you to move in. There wants to be some effort, but there doesn't want to be any pain or any real vulnerability. Because if it feels vulnerable, it probably is. So move slow and teach this neck that it can perform. Then go over to the other side. So you're leaning this over. Just move your shoulders around and reset them back to where there's somewhere that you know where they are, so they're not like cheating you into doing this. Look at your shoulder, look up, look down at your shoulder, look up. Breathe. Nice. There we go. Okay, now we're coming back up onto our feet. We're going to use a sofa, a wall, or something to help us balance. The balance is going to be a big part of the class, but for now, I want you to have help. Unless you're really good at it, get something to hold on to so that you can balance on one leg. I'm going to have my hip pressed against this so that I can feel, if my hip does this, I know that my whole spine, pelvis, whatever has moved out of the way to help me find mobility in this hip. So I'm going to keep this pressed against here and pick my knee up. I'm going to try and turn my knee to point out to the side. I'm going to feel if my whole torso turns like this. Look, if I do this, I can feel on this chair that my hips have gone in a diagonal, but I haven't actually found any extra mobility in my hip. If I hold my bum here, I can feel like that's all femur in the hip joint. And then I'm going to try and pick my heel up towards the ceiling this way for external rotation. And then I swing it back for internal rotation and bring it back until my knee is in line with my other knee. And then bring the knee to knee, and then knee up. Then we go through that again. Open this out to the side, swing this foot up, try and get this heel up higher, and then swing it back, drag this knee back until it's in line with the other knee to knee. Knee up, knee out, heel up, swings back, back. I'm looking for this muscle here to pull my knee this way. It's my weakest range, because I don't have very much to give here, I never have. And then knee to knee up. You might find you can get it further. Pick this heel up, heel back, this back, knee to knee up. So tiring. Knee out, heel up, heel back. There we go. Oh. That'll do. Swapping legs. So this isn't stretching. It's nothing to do with finding new ranges. This is to get you to have connection and control over each individual hip so that it can do a hip job when you're loaded, when you're walking around, when you're doing stuff, so that it can help you perform better with this hip. So holding on, and by the way, this can look like this, which isn't very much movement at all, and that's okay. If it looks like this, see how my foot's kind of low to the floor, it can start like this, and then as we get better, we get further and better at finding these end ranges, but you have to start somewhere. So pick this knee up, open it out to the side without turning your hips, without turning your chest, and then try and pick your heel up towards the sky. Keep picking it up, so you try and get your shin to go parallel to the floor. Never going to happen. And then swing this heel back, come on left leg, drag it back and try and get this knee further away from the other knee, and then knee to knee up. Knee out, heel up towards the sky, swing this back and teach this hip to be a hip, and knee to knee up. Big toe on the standing foot, by the way, is such a big deal. Two more. Pick this knee up, knee out, get this heel up towards the sky, swing this heel back, drag your knee back, knee to knee up. That'll do. Okay, so let's think about this hip. It's a ball and socket joint, so that means it's a ball in a socket and it can go anywhere. It can rotate, so it can axially rotate, it can flex, extend, and every combination of those. So your hip can form neutrally like this, so my knee's pointing forward. It can also go knee pointing out. It can also go knee pointing in. You can also do that this way and circles. There's so much that this hip can do, but our pattern of movements quite often doesn't touch very many of those shapes. The more control you have over those shapes, the better a hip you will have. So I want you to put your heel up onto your chair. If your chair is too high, you can do this on like a couple of yoga blocks, a couple of books, a little mini stool if you've got one, anything that just lifts your foot up off of the floor. You can even have your foot up way high. I'm not going to do it up here, but I could have it up here and that would do the same job. You just need to find something just to lift it. And then I want you to just rock this heel like this, like your foot's waving, and watch your knee rotate. It's not your knee rotating here, it's really going from the hip. But I want you to understand this axial rotation, because this can help give you space to be able to get your leg to perform. And then we're going to hinge forwards and find a little stretch here. What's happening though is your standing leg is doing a lot of work, and that might burn out. If it does, just come out of it for a second. We can reset, you can come back to it if you need to, but I want to find a stretch here and live in it, and try and teach my body this mobility. And I'm not really after much more hamstring flexibility. I'm not after you being able to fold in half, because for the most part, I don't think it's that handy. Tying your shoelaces is handy for sure, but anything past that, I don't think that we really need to be training it that much. I'm just after you being able to control this and understand the distance here comes from the strength on the front side of your body, between hip flexors, between muscles in your belly, between even like rectus femoris down the middle of your thigh. It's all part of this forward bend, and just work out what your spine's doing as well, because your spine can be in any shape for this and it can still be a stretch here. Take a big deep breath, and then we're going to start doing work. This is where the strength part of this comes in. Your strength is different to mine. You might be stronger. We're going to start driving your heel through the chair. So you're pushing your heel down. See if you can bend this standing leg so it's not locked out. And feel like you're being strong pushing down. You should be able to feel all of this stuff on the underside of your thigh contracting and trying to be strong in this stretch. Try and stretch more under tension. Keep pushing, pushing, pushing. And your push can be just a little bit. If that's all you've got, that's all you've got. But I want some effort. There needs to be some input so that our body can have something to push and pull against, so it understands this stretch. And then I want you to stand up tall, still pushing your heel down, so you should be able to feel this hamstring forming upright. Grab hold of something, a chair, a sofa, or something, and we try and lift our foot like this without doing this. So see how this angle here hasn't changed. I've just leaned back and found the mobility in my spine and this standing leg. It's not that one. Upright, lift this foot. And it doesn't actually have to lift. There just needs to be the intent, the feeling of this tissue here doing its job. Hold it, hold it, hold it, lifting, lifting, going 3, 2, 1, and then stretch again. And see if you've got any further. See if you've taught your body anything new. And it's about this control and understanding this shape. So I'm not after like a big nose to knee stretch, because I don't find that helpful. I want you to understand how you can lift this up. And then I want you to pick your knee up as high as you can. Imagine you've got to step over something. Just pick this knee up and hold it. And feel this hip flexor do the thing. And it's stretching all of this tissue here. Not in stretching as in like finding new range, but this is lengthening as this is shortening. Feel it and understand it and control it and come down. It's very tiring on this standing hip. And because this leg's been up here doing work, I expect it to tire out. And that's okay. You can come out of it, you can play around with it, you can change things for yourself. It's okay. Alright. Big toe needs to push. I like to have a little bounce in this standing leg so it isn't locked out in this do or die position where it's here or it's here and there's a knee jerk fall. I'd rather have you being able to control where you go as you hinge forwards and find the stretch, and then play around with external rotation, internal rotation, and just see what this hip can do in all of these different shapes. And then you fell over then. Keep rotating this around. And your knee points up as you stretch forwards and find this stretch down the back of your leg. And breathe. You can play around with your spine here and see what your spine can do. And see if you can keep this stretch the same and understand that these two things, like this half of your body and this half of your body, can move independently. They're done in real life, they're always together moving. But I want you to feel like you can go into lots of different shapes. You've got a big repertoire and not just one shape you always go into that eventually burns out and hurts your lower back. Because if we stretch like this constantly, maybe your lower back gives out because you're just stretching it this way too much. And this starts to disconnect, and then when you stand back up, it feels all achy and horrible. Find it so it doesn't do that. It can do lots of things. It gets circulation and doesn't get stuck in one shape. Okay. Keep pushing your big toe down and start driving your heel down into the chair. Breathe. Soften your shoulders down and breathe. Relax your jaw. Keep leaning into this stretch. Now we're going to do the work. There's got to be some hard work, there's got to be some connection to your brain. Start driving your heel down, like you're trying to push your heel towards the floor, and feel this hamstring, do hamstring contractions, getting strong. As you lean into this stretch, find it, and keep pushing down. Push your belly out as you breathe in, draw your belly in as you breathe out. Keep pushing down, get stronger. Get stronger, get stronger. Hold on to the wall if you have to, but I need some effort. There needs to be some brain connection to these muscles and not a locked knee like this, so you're kind of snapping your knee in half. I want to see if we can get this connection in this bouncy knee so that you've got room to move. Keep driving down, and then stand up tall. And you get yourself into this strong shape here. Muscles in your belly on, tense this bum muscle on the standing leg. Hold on, and try and lift your foot without changing anything in your torso. And it only needs to be intent. It doesn't actually have to lift. I want you to train this tissue to be able to lift this foot. Hold it, tense this bum on the standing leg. Going 5, 4, keep pulling it up. 3, 2, 1, and come out. It's very tiring. And then I want you to hold on to something and just lift this knee up and imagine that you are strong enough to be able to step over tall things, because this knee can lift. You can tense your bum and you can feel how to balance, how to get this to work. Fantastic. While we're on our feet, let's go through a little bit of balance. And I keep saying I'm going to do this every time for this class. I feel like this is integral to us being humans, is our ability to be able to balance on one foot. Not just to be able to balance on one foot and balance on one foot, but when we walk, That's you always on one foot for a little bit. So if we just tap the floor with one foot and do a little bounce in your knee, you keep tapping your toe on the floor, tense your bum, and just move your hips side to side like this with this bounce. And tap the floor every time you have to. Try not to fully bail on the balance where you're like, whoa. So do less if you need to. Keep your big toe on the floor. Just so that heel's up and this leg is understanding how to make a structure out of your foot, your instep, your ankle, the muscles in your calf, the muscles around your knee. And then we learn that this shape is achievable and that you can put your weight backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. But what happens is, the opposite arm goes opposite to the foot that's moving. And this is our walk. And this can help you to understand balance and changing things in your balance. So my foot comes forwards, my hand comes forwards, goes back, forwards, like this. Big deep breaths. Go. 3, I'm losing my balance, but I brought it back. 2, 1. And I find that I've got lots of clients that I teach that to, that used to struggle with balance, and I promise it comes with time. You might get it first time, it might make sense, but if you really struggle with balance, it's got to come from the structure of your ankle and your hip being balanced over the top of your foot. And if your head is over foot, balance is easier. Tap this toe on the floor and just see if you can bounce and move your hips a little bit side to side and be able to catch your balance anywhere, or at least be able to come back to your centre. And I think that's really the key, that you go off balance but you know a path back. So that's off balance for me, I can't hold it, but I can bring it back. That's off balance, I can bring it back. And then re-catch my balance without having to touch the floor. That's way off balance and I can bring it back. And it's this path back to your centre that is connected into your map of movements in your brain that can help. Okay, and then let's start trying to swing this foot. And think about your hamstring flexibility even in this. As this leg reaches forwards, this hamstring needs to be mobile. I also need you to be able to have a bounce in this knee, so that this leg isn't fully locked out, and you can understand this equilibrium. So even if that equilibrium comes off, look, my head's not over the top of my foot anymore, but the movement is almost keeping me balanced. If I do this and just hang, I'm going to go further, I'm going to fall out. But the movement itself kind of catches balance, and the bigger window you've got of understanding your balance, it's a language. So your body can speak this language of balance, being able to get timing with your legs, with your arms, with your torso, with your spine, and we get better. Okay, let's get into some more stretches. Let's bring back the chair. We're going to look at this hip and this bum stretch around here. Lots of different ways we can do this, but before we get into the actual stretch, I want you to understand this rotation here. So if you bring, you'll definitely need to hold on for this. You can even hold on forward like this, which is probably a little bit sturdier. I want you to bring your foot across so it's in line with the other foot, and then drop your knee out to the side. And then we feel this stretch down here, and just try and lean into this here. You're trying to put the outside edge of your calf down as much as you can. You might feel a little stretch here, but it's this external rotation here that I'm after. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and bring it back. And then hold it, and bring it back. And it's this path in and out of our mobility that I'm after. So you don't need to hold on to your chair this way, because all our chairs are different shapes. Obviously you can hold on to the wall. But balancing here just without holding on to anything is going to be hard. So open his knee out to the side, bring it back. His knee out to the side, bring it back. Nice. And swapping legs. So bring this foot across. It's opening out into external rotation, bring it back. External rotation, bring it back. Yes. feels so different from hip to hip for me, this. I want you to really tune in to how this feels, what's going on, what's giving up, how you can control it. Do a little pause each time, holding it out to the side, and bring it back. It's almost about refinding your footprint connection here as well. A couple more. Yes. And then last one. Perfect. Then we're coming back into seated on our chair. I want you to sit right up on the edge of your chair and stretch one leg out. And bring this ankle up onto your thigh, like this. If you can't get your ankle up this high, then you can use a yoga strap, a belt or something to loop it around your foot and have your foot down a little bit lower, and then try and lift your foot with your hands like this. So imagine like I've got a strap and lifting my foot like this. And I can do the same thing. We're going to put this here, and then we're going to slide your heel back on this standing leg. We're trying to push this knee down and lift your foot up. So with your hand underneath your foot, like this. So hand on top of your knee, hand under your foot, and then try and lift your foot and push your knee down. We'll feel this connection to this external rotation in this hip. And remember, it's no pain. Try not to curl your back around, so a little crunch down like this. See if you can sit up tall. And breathe here. Hold this. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. Relax your jaw. Breathe all the way in. Keep trying to lift this foot. Then I want you to try and fight out of this. So you're using your hands to go like this, trying to lift your ankle higher than your knee, which is never going to happen. And then I want you to try and push your knee up and your ankle down. But your hands are still fighting against it. You should be able to feel this like tension in your torso, kind of pulling you side to side, and it's all part of it. You'll feel a contraction here down the inside of your thigh. And remember, it's your effort. I'm pushing quite hard. I'm reasonably strong, so I can fight this hard, and it makes it hard to breathe. If all you've got is just a little tickle of tension, that's where you're starting, and that's okay. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and 3, 2, 1, and then we go the opposite way. So we're trying to teach this hip that can do any direction with strength. So hand on top of your ankle, hand under your knee. That's so hard. You try and push your knee down and lift your ankle up. 3, 2, 1, and then lean your belly forwards and back, forwards and back. And you might only lean forwards a tiny bit, and that's okay. In 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Swapping legs. Oh, by the way, if you like this, but you feel like your knee's too high, if you stack your bum up a bit higher with a cushion or yoga block or something, the higher up you sit, the easier this will get. So, slide your foot out, bring this ankle up onto your thigh, and slide this heel back, like this. And we're trying to get your hand on top of your knee, hand underneath your heel, and try and push down with your hand. And just breathe here. And it will feel like really deep in this hip joint, and that's where we want to feel it. Sit up tall, hinge down. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. So you might notice that I don't do very much of like classic yoga poses like Warrior 2 and things like that. And it's not that I don't teach them, I love teaching them and I enjoy those poses. I want to find and connect to the real world as much as I possibly can, and I value this stuff for real world connection to your joints, to your strength, and I feel like I can help you understand your movement better with these kind of exercises than I can doing an arbitrary yoga pose. But that's not to take anything away from that yoga pose, because I still teach them and I love them, and there's almost a spiritual connection to them. But I prefer this. This, for me, gets people to feel more what's going on in their head, and it's so much more focused. I feel like it's laser point focus into your joints. If I put you in Warrior 2, there's so many compensations that can happen through your ankles, knees, hips, spine, shoulders, that it ends up being a bit messy for me to fix every person in a room, never mind across the magic of the internet that's so almost disconnected. So this works for me. Okay, so keep coming into this passive stretch, so we're passively getting this hip to find new stuff, and now we try and fight out of it. So your heel pushes down, sorry, you pick your hand up and your heel pushes down, you push your hand down and your knee pushes up. So you're trying to fight out of this, trying to lift your knee higher, but your hand keeps it down. You feel connection here. There's stuff down the inside of your thigh. Starts fighting, 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 going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we swap and we do work this way. So your hand goes on top of your ankle, hand goes underneath your knee. Your knee pushes down to the floor, and your ankle tries to lift. I find this so hard, especially on my left leg, to find this connection, but I can feel this stuff on the outside of my hip trying to connect. It's a little bit on and off, but it's getting better. Hold, 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 going 3, 2, 1, so tough. And then hinge forwards, hinge back up, hinge forwards, hinge back up. And breathe. Yes, there we go. And then bring this foot down. And then, because our knee's just been jammed into that shape for a little bit, I want you to pick your toes up and turn your toes out to the side. Turn your toes across your body. And we're trying to swivel on our heel like this and get this tibial rotation. So watch your calf turn like this. And this tibial rotation through your knee is just so important. And then I want you to make your knee perform. Straighten this leg out and back. And we're going to get some space in this knee so this knee can form. It might feel a little bit clicky, and that's okay. Just keep swinging this. Try and pull this heel back further and stretch it right out. Pull this heel back further and stretch it back out. And then I want you to turn your toes out to the side and squeeze into this external rotation as you stretch and stretch and stretch. We're getting this knee to do knee stuff, trying to get this knee to perform like a knee. Because it needs to have all of these different shapes. And right now, this is an open chain exercise, so there's no weight on it. It should be achievable for most of us in some range. And I can feel my knee starting to tire out now. Then turn the toes across your body and try and straighten this out. It's going to be much harder to get this internal rotation on your knee. Turn your knee across your body, straighten out and back, straighten out and back. Pull this heel right back. There we go. Oh, that's tough. So, this foot, so you swivel on the heel and try and watch your knee rotate. It might be really hard to connect to this, and that's all right. Everything has a learning curve. But the more effort we put in, the more likely we are to get this knee to be able to do all of the stuff that knees do. If you have an achy knee, if your knee feels all jammed up all the time, I promise if you give time to this, do it every day, then your knee starts to get circulation, it starts to pull away all the bad stuff. If there's something mechanically wrong, we might not be able to fix that, but at least we can get it to perform the way a knee's supposed to perform if we give it some practice that doesn't hurt it. Okay, straighten this leg out, bring it back, straighten this leg out and bring it back. Move kind of slow. I like having my hand here and I can feel every little click, every little bit that is kind of pushing past, and my knees are good, they're never sore, but I can still feel stuff going on. Little clicks are fine, they're totally normal. Keep straightening this leg out and bring it back, straighten it out and bring it back. And then go for this side foot, turn this toe out to the side, straighten it out and bring it back, straighten it out and bring it back. Breathe. Try and feel like this knee is bending no matter where your tibia is, so this shin bone goes. You can understand how to get this knee to do knee work. There we go. Then turn the toes across your body, straight out. Oh, I feel like this is the thing my knee needs. I've got to slow it down so I can feel it kind of skipping out of it, so it doesn't know these shapes well enough. Move slow. There we go. Last one. Yes, amazing. Let's just finish off with a little bit of wrist work, but we're going to get into another passive stretch while we do wrist work, so it's kind of bigger bang for your buck. I want you to have your feet kind of toes pointing out, so your heels point inwards like this, and then open those knees out and look for a little stretch here. And we're going to try and get the muscles on the outside of your hip to find this shape. And then I want you to find where your spine lifts, so flip your ribs up and see if you can get extension. And so your ribs are trying to flip up, you're trying to contract everything in the middle of your back, and then tense your belly and push your knees out and find somewhere in the middle here. Bring your elbows into your ribs, make a fist and go knuckles up, knuckles down, knuckles up, knuckles down. And we're looking to stretch this stuff here by contracting this stuff here, and the opposite way. We contract this stuff here to try and stretch this stuff here. And try not to move your elbows. So if it looks like this, your elbows are joining in. Then I want you to go circles with these fists. And keep your wrists facing up. So the buckle on my watch is always facing up. If my buckle on my watch faces across my body like this, that isn't it. I've lost it and my elbows are joined in as I do circles with my fists. And go back the other way. You might see I'm shaking a little bit because this is hard. I'm trying to find end ranges. 3, 2, 1. So tough. Okay. And still sit right up on the edge of your chair. We're going back into spine stuff before we have a little bit of mini meditation to finish off. I want you to try and pull your sternum back as far as you can. Like spread your shoulder blades out. So imagine like you're making a U shape here. And pull your rib cage back and tuck your chin. And then try and start from your coccyx and bring your spine forwards a little bit at a time. Still with the shoulder blades spread. My belly button comes forwards, then rib cage comes forwards, then sternum comes up, and then look up. And I'm trying to contract everything in my back, all the way up my back, even up to the base of my skull, and try and bring this rib cage up and flip my sternum up, squeeze shoulder blades together, and then go back the other way. So tuck my chin, spread my shoulder blades, rib cage goes back, and then a pull lower back. And it's all avoiding pain, but see if you can articulate your spine all the way up, and shoulder blades, neck, thoracic spine, lumbar spine. And this articulation of your spine is one of the most important things that I practice. I can feel it. I perform better at all exercises when I've practiced my spinal articulation, especially in the morning when I've been asleep and I've stayed still for a long time. If I kind of move my spine around with lots of thought, I do a handstand, which maybe isn't for you, but it's a good example of what I do. I do a handstand and I can move my spine and understand how to control it better because I have a connection to how all of the muscles around my spine can make this perform. And it's much like playing an instrument. If you learn to play guitar, you start to be able to hold these shapes and make your other hand do stuff, and you can strum and hold chords. If you can't play guitar yet, you don't have that fine control yet in your little finger especially, and you don't have the timing to be able to do these shapes with this hand and make this move, it's really tough. But if you give it time and teach it how to do things, you can do things, and you learn to be human. You learn to be able to move around like a human more, and it's exciting. Okay, let's get into a tiny little bit of a mini meditation just to finish off. I want you to fidget in your seat, on the floor, wherever feels comfortable for you, to be able to close your eyes and just breathe. Let your eyes close. Just fidget a bit. And move yourself around. And just go where your body feels like it wants to move. Like squeeze your thighs, squeeze your knees, make a fist, spread your fingers out. No right or wrong. Reach overhead if you want, move your neck, and then go in slow motion wherever you want to move. And breathe a big deep breath while you're in slow motion, just exploring your movement, exploring your spine, move your knees, move your legs, move your ankles, move your toes. And just settle. In meditation, we often tell you to follow your breath. Think about it. And tune into it. Imagine where it goes in your body and where it goes when you breathe out. And it's not that there's a magic reaction to this connection of your breath. There is, there kind of is, but it's not just that. It's so that you've got your focus. It's just practicing focus on this one thing, so that you're not juggling. Like half your energy's on the list, half your energy's on breathing, or breaking it down into quarters on what you did, what you're going to do, a little bit of breathing, and a little bit of fidgeting or focusing on a pain. And you start to dilute where your consciousness goes. And your breath is easy, because it's constant. It's always there, it's always moving, even in your stillest moments. It's consistent. But it doesn't have to just be that. Maybe you can just focus on being still. And in the background, the movement of your breath happens. This ability to just be still and help you to just be still. And to not punish yourself for what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Because there really is no right and wrong. Everything's so nuanced. And we give ourselves such a hard time about movement, about exercise, about how good we should be doing at every task that we do. I really believe in this positive reinforcement. I still hold myself accountable for the things I do right and wrong. But every little thing I do right, I positively reinforce myself, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me want to do it again. And it gives me a positive reaction to whatever it is that I want to do again. Everything that I think that I should be doing more, I feel good about that. And it helps me to turn up and to keep going. And you might be able to find some power in that, some help to keep going. And just breathe now for a little bit. Give yourself some quiet. And then start fidgeting again. Move your neck, open your eyes slowly, move your rib cage, pull your rib cage back, forwards, move your knees, move your toes. Bring your palms together, bring your thumbs to your forehead, and tuck your chin and roll forwards. And namaste. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I enjoy that class every time. It makes me try, it makes me push myself into shapes and things that I maybe miss out because I'm not quite senior yet. I might have a grey beard, but I'm still in my prime. And I think there's power in this, being gentle with yourself, but also improving. And they can come together to improve us as humans, because that's what I want. I want to help everybody be better humans in terms of their movement and how you treat yourself around improving and getting better. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you have a good day. I'm going to get to cleaning this gym, getting ready to open on Saturday. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Bye.